Hi everyone, welcome to another instructional video. This rules video will cover the timing structure of a run after the ice, after you have encountered all the ice. So this starts off by, surprise, when you pass all the ice protecting a server. Interestingly, there are a couple of cards in the game that are triggered by this event occurring when you pass all the ice protecting a server. And that's none other than Awakening Center and Caprice Nisei. Their effects will fire after you pass the last piece of ice that is guarding a server. So this has sparked off a couple of rules questions. The most notable of them all is that if you are running on any of these upgrades that are not protected by any ice, this trigger window is completely bypassed. So the only way to get Caprice Nisei or Awakening Center to fire off on a server with no ice is to actually rest them before the runner declares a run. Once the runner has declared a run, it goes straight to the next phase. You won't get a chance to rest. There's no timing window to rest Awakening Center or Caprice Nisei before you can fire off their abilities. And on the same token, this means that if you want to trigger the abilities off, you must rest them, assuming there's ice protecting the server, you must rest them during the timing windows provided by the game before the runner breaks the subroutines on the last piece of ice. Once the runner has broken the subroutines and they continue on with the run, that is when the pass all the ice trigger occurs. And yeah, if your Caprice or Awakening Center isn't rest by the time that the runner has broken all the subroutines on the last ice, you won't get to trigger it as well. Alright, so that's something very important to note, especially since Caprice Nisei is somewhat competitive in today's metagame. You must rest her before the runner gets to the server. So, as soon as the runner approaches the server, there is a timing window, indicated by the yellow star, where both the runner and corp can activate paid abilities, such as SMC. After that, there is the decision for the runner to make. Do they continue or jack out from the run? So, if you are planning to perform a stim hack run, but do not actually intend to access the server, this is the time to activate your stim hack before, you can do so before saying, I want to jack out, I'm not accessing the cards in the server. After the runner says, I am continuing into the server, there is a paid ability window before the run is considered successful. This is marked out by the orange star in the diagram. And this is the final paid ability window during the run. This is the last chance for both the corp and runner to do whatever final things they want to do before the run is considered successful, before access occurs, and before the run ends officially. So this is important for both the corp and runner side. For the runner side, they might choose to bring out their Deus Ex because they might fear of a snare or a psychic field, etc. This is also the best time to bring out any surprise multi-access programs from the Anarch side, Medium and Nerve Agent. You can bring these out and then trigger the successful run clause on these two cards, which means that you'll gain the extra virus token and you'll go on to the access. For the corp side, this is much more important because during this paid ability window, the runner is committed into accessing the server. They can no longer jack out. So now is the time to rest certain, and also take note that the corp can rest assets and upgrades during this window. So if the corp is confident that the runner is going to access a snare, they could rest their dedicated response teams. Also, this is the last time that the corp can choose to use effects such as House of Knives, so as to bring the runner down, and the runner cannot say no to continuing on to accessing a snare or whatever that might be. After this, as I said, no more using paid abilities. The run will now be considered successful. As mentioned, Medium and Nerve Agent will collect their tokens, and other successful run effects will trigger, such as that of John Masanori's. And following that, access occurs. Now, there's something very important about access that you must pay attention to. For R&D and HQ access, it happens so often that almost every player knows how it is done. I like to focus on remote and archive accesses. For these two servers, it is mandatory for the runner to access every single card in the server. There's no choice. You cannot choose to access only one card knowing that there's a trap in there. You cannot choose to access only the agenda's archives, even though there are 3 shocks in there. You must access all cards unless otherwise specified. For example, by an Ash or by a Hudson 1.0. So for archives, the access is quite special because you get to turn over every single card in archives face up, and then you choose the order in which you access them. So generally you want to access the agendas first before hitting anything that might give you net damage, like she queues as well. As for the remote server, you get to choose the order in which you wish to access. Most of the time actually, you would much rather access the face down card before the face up card, because when you access the face down card first, you gain more knowledge. You know exactly what's in the server, and especially if you're limited on credits, you will know what to trash and what not to trash. The exception is when playing against an upgrade like Tori Hanzo. You want to trash the Tori Hanzo first before you access anything that might cause even more net damage to you. So yes, the order of accessing in a remote is very important, but usually the choice is pretty obvious. So that's for access. Otherwise, it's very straightforward, and most players should know how to perform the access step. Thereafter, the run ends, and it's usually not very significant, but it does trigger abilities such as that from Dirty Laundry. So remember, you cannot use the extra 5 credits from Dirty Laundry to trash the upgrade or asset that you were trying to access, because these credits only come after the run ends. This is also when dedicated response team triggers. So this is why when a runner runs with tags to trash a dedicated response team, that particular instance of DRT does not fire off, because it is trashed before it gets to fire off when the run ends. Alright, so with all these steps covered, I basically covered the rules for this entire portion. I'd just like to bring your attention to one very particular interaction that illustrates how you can use these rules to resolve a particular situation. Now, assume there is a naked Jackson Howard in a remote server and the runner has bank job installed. The runner runs on the Jackson Howard. The corp intends to trigger Jackson Howard to reshuffle cards, and the runner intends to trigger bank job to get the credits. But their decisions may be influenced by what the other party chooses to do. So, who needs to act first? Looking at the timing diagram, the last chance for Jackson Howard's trash ability to be used is during the orange star, the last paid ability window in the run. As for bank job, it is triggered during the access phase. Access replacement effects such as bank job and other cards, the famous ones such as account siphon and VAM, or all these that have a replacement effect instead of the normal access, that the runner can choose to trigger. The trigger occurs during the access step. So during the access step, the runner will say, I choose not to access HQ, instead I will perform the account siphon on you. Back to our example, bank job triggers only when the runner accesses Jackson Howard. So the runner will say, instead of accessing Jackson Howard, I will trigger my bank job. So because of this, the corp must act first. The corp must first decide whether to shuffle Jackson Howard or not. If the corp chooses not to reshuffle Jackson Howard and leaves the server there for the runner to use, the runner now has the liberty to choose whether to activate bank job or to run and trash the Jackson Howard instead. And if the runner chooses to trash Jackson Howard, the corp cannot say, oh wait, maybe I should reshuffle cards from archives instead. Nope, the corp has no more windows to trash Jackson Howard. And conversely, if the corp chooses to recycle Jackson Howard, then the server is immediately destroyed and the runner cannot trigger bank job. Remember that when a server ceases to exist, according to the rulebook, the run is immediately terminated and it is neither considered successful nor unsuccessful. So in the case of John Masanori, the runner will not take a tag but will not draw a card either. So yes, that's a very simple example but with lots of repercussions. And it's very important to pay attention to these timing windows, especially when you're playing at a competitive level, because these minor little decisions can definitely change the entire outcome of the game. So I hope that this clears things up, and hopefully you've learned a thing or two from it. Thanks for watching and happy net running.